Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Jess Marshall podcast. I'm Jess Marshall. Thanks for joining me. This week, I've got the distinct privilege and honor of having Donovan Ruffin on the program. Donovan's big news around Dallas. You probably know him as a real estate investor, reality TV star, and he also puts together real estate investment meetups. I'm excited for this podcast. We're going to talk about adversity, entrepreneurship, building teams, and the whole nine yards. Stay tuned.
We'll do a couple of those a year, but I mean, at the end of the day, we're here to make money, so we're not like on HGTV,
Yeah.
So, yeah, you might be able to maximize on it, but the amount of time it takes to do a project like that, it's just the money costs are kind of high, so it doesn't really make sense.
For sure.
We just try to get out in and out as fast as possible.
Are you guys adding square footage very often?
No.
Yeah.
No. I mean, we do have appraisers go walk them and see if there's, a closet we can bust out or something
Sure.
like that to add a couple hundred extra square feet or something like that, but nothing too crazy.
Right on. Are you financing most of your fix and flips yourself, or are you using hard money for that, or private money?
Yeah, we use private
Cool.
money and hard money. Yeah.
You put together like your own little fund of people who are invested?
Yeah. I really like using private money. It's just a little bit more convenient, a little bit quicker, and it's cheaper. It's just people that, have a lot of money and just sitting in the bank, and, we take that and pay them a return. So we really like that route.
That takes a lot of trust, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
The other side?
Yeah. It's not something that a lot of people are like hunting for like the unicorn, like the private money, but if you don't have experience or a track record or a brand, people just aren't going to trust you, So obviously, since I've been doing it for years, I have a pretty good brand and reputation, and, experience is the most important thing. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I can attest to having used private money in the past that you are really taking, you're taking on a real burden of trust there from whoever does invest. And obviously,
Absolutely.
They're making a lot of money on the deal when the deal goes well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's tough stuff. How did you get interested in real estate to begin with?
To be honest, like my dad was in real estate before the last crash, and I was always intrigued on how much
08?
money. Yeah, the 08
Yeah.
crash. So he did really well before the crash, and obviously he's took a different angle. But I was always intrigued by the lifestyle and the money that you could make, and just the business aspect of what you could build around real estate. So it's kind of what intrigued me to take real estate serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see, I know I've had a bunch of other entrepreneurs on this show, and a lot of times they'll talk about how maybe their first mentors or the first people that they really started to notice in their life were realtors.
Yeah.
Because they had all this free time,
Right.
Or they were
Yeah.
home a lot, or just they had the flexibility in schedule, which whenever I'm bringing people on at our company, I'm talking to them all the time about the importance of buying back your time.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Because the amount of time you waste when you're building somebody else's company for them and going through all these motions and doing dumb meetings and clocking in, clocking out, it's crazy how much time people waste.
Yep.
The real estate, was it right away that you could tell that this is going to be something that I'm going to do for a very long time? You just took a shine to it right away?
Everybody always wants to be in real estate, so it was like, I'm going to be in real estate eventually. I just didn't know when, so I was actually in sales pretty heavy before I actually got into real estate. Blessed, just because now I'm in real estate now. It's like mostly sales stuff and business attributes that I've learned prior to real estate. So when I actually got a hold of it, it just took me, just one deal really to take it serious, just because I knew it was possible. You know what I mean? So after, the first deal was it was history from there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You've got a background in door-to-door sales, don't you?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, talk a little bit about that, because a lot of people hear that. Were you selling vacuums, or what were you selling? Just roofing?
No.
What were you selling?
No, I actually started fresh out of high school, really. It was like my first job past 18. I was super excited to just do something other than like fast food restaurants, because that's what I was doing in high school. And, I've always had experience, buying and selling stuff, through my teenage years and early on in life. So I knew I had an ability to, sell a product. So I accepted a all commission door-to-door sales job selling AT&T Uverse. This was back in like 2012. Did really well, made like 10 grand my first summer. And I was just like, holy crap, I made more money my first summer than pretty much anybody I knew at that age, so I thought I was rich. I thought I was balling. And I actually took it really serious. After a couple years, I just kind of got burned out by being, direct to customer. And I just started getting frustrated. My motivation started dropping, and it's just like, I don't want to knock doors for the rest of my life. The money's just not worth it. So that's when I kind of, grew up in business, and I started, putting, some of my friends on, started hiring people to knock doors with me, started kind of being their coach in the company I was with, and had
like
some
building
success.
teams, like
Yeah.
canvassing teams?
Yeah, canvassing teams.
Sweet.
So, and that changed the game for me, just because I was able to buy all my time back, and I was able to focus 100% on coaching, reps in my teams, and ended up starting my own marketing company when I was 20. So my old boss at the time became my business partner, and we ended up opening like 10 sales offices around the country. So we did really well. We did, a lot of transactions, hired a lot of people. People made a lot of money working with us, and we learned, how to work with big companies. Contract signing with Fortune 100 companies, and we made some serious business moves when it came to like B2B sales. That's when we started making a lot more money. It's just, instead of going business to consumer, we went business to business, just because businesses would have more money. And if, they saw a return or a better product, it was like a no-brainer. It was nothing emotional behind it. So did that for a lot of years. And, in the process of, making some money, pretty good change, I started investing some of that into real estate. And I was just kind of, doing it on the side, and ended up building a system where I was able to, buy properties from other wholesalers and agents, and I was able to raise private money to be able to purchase them. So I was, doing anywhere from 3 to 4 flips at a time, or purchasing 3 to 4 at a month. So I'd, maintain about 10 houses at a time, and I was kind of like running both companies. So I was kind of at a point where it was just, had $2 million companies, and I was doing the same numbers every year, where it was like really frustrating for me, because I'm like super competitive about growth. If I'm not growing, I feel like I'm dying. So it was just, I have to make something change if I want to change my business life. And it's when I made the decision to just go all real estate.
Right on.
Yeah.
Is that uber competitive fire inside of you something that you've always had? And was that something that you really enjoyed playing sports growing up? Or where does that come from?
Yeah, I mean, I played sports for sure. Man, I don't know where it stemmed from, to be honest with you. It's just, I mean, I even look at some of my siblings, and a lot of them, they don't have that competitive nature. So I don't know if it's being the middle child or whatever. A lot of people, it's just like, well, it's how you grew up, and it's the environment you grew up. Well, it's just like, well, my siblings is competitive
Sure.
as I am. So I don't have like a direct answer, because if I did know a direct answer, I think that it would be a lot easier to, operate by being able to coach people. But I don't know where it comes from. But yeah, it's just like a burning desire in my soul to just go out there and win and grow,
It's fucking badass, man. I'm the
Yeah.
same way. When you're trying to put together a canvassing crew, knocking doors is not fun. It's no fun here in DFW in the middle of the summer.
Oh, no.
When it's 80% humidity and 100 degrees or whatever.
Yep.
What are you looking for when you put at like an ad in Craigslist or OfferUp or Indeed or something like that, and you're offering like, hey, you can make this much in a week and stuff like that, free training, all that kind of stuff? Are you looking for a mindset in guys and gals when they reach out to you?
Well, I mean, in the door-to-door world, we kind of figured out, hey, the more people, the more sales reps we could hire that go all commission, the more net profit we could make as a company. So instead of focusing on just business to consumer, like going to sell the actual customer, me and my business partner actually focused on recruiting. That was our main time sucker, essentially. That's where we spent a majority of our money that we would spend, is just looking for ways to bring people on. A lot of it had to do with branding, the collaborations, building relationships with the Fortune 100 companies, just because a lot of people approach them on selling their product, and they just didn't have the capacity to be able to manage it. So we get a lot of referrals through them. But yeah, just online ads, we would just it was like a revolving door with sales reps. Like we would have in-house interviews. We would literally interview like 10, 12 people a day per office. So we're literally interviewing close to 100 people a day at at the marketing company, and that was just our business model. 10 people a day. Cool. We could hire 2 to 3 sharp people from a week's worth of 50 people. So it's like anywhere from 5 to 10% was like a good week on who we could hire. So it was just constantly just going in there, doing group interviews, making people compete against each other to get a job, and hiring them, doing in-house training, put them in a culture, building a culture, hiring right leaders, sending them off to markets. So yeah, I've learned a lot about building an actual structured business in that marketing company before I even got into real estate.
Wow, this is super fascinating, especially plugging everybody in. So if you're hiring all these people everywhere, and you and your business partner are the ones conducting the interviews and then pulling the trigger on whatever marketing, your recruiting marketing.
Well, not
who's training these?
Yeah, not
your
necessarily.
Team leaders?
Well, yeah, it was like, we had like a growth pipeline, so it wasn't us actually doing the interviews. Now, if it was in one of our markets, still at that point, we would want somebody like a leader to go in and do that interview, just because that's who's going to be training them, essentially. So yeah, it's like a lot of me and my business partner's duties and task was to develop people. And that's pretty much what any direct business model or direct sales company is about, is just developing the people to grow, to do more, to be able to lead more people. And that's kind of what we focused on. So we developed people to go in and, recruit people, train or interview people, hire them, train them, retain them, and then eventually have them lead other people and send them off to different markets as well. So we got really good at it. Obviously it didn't start like right away. This is how it happened. You need an army.
There's no easy button.
Yeah, you need an army of sharp people to be able to operate like that.
Absolutely. Training leaders. It sounds like you've got a passion for helping people change their lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That I've watched a few interviews that you've done. That seems like I don't know who said this. Maybe Zig Ziglar. Many people have said it in many different derivations. But when you start to help people realize their dreams, you'll realize your dreams, right? Or you help people get what they want, you're going to get what you want. You put them first. When you're working in a team, if you're the top guy, everybody else has to win before you get to win.
Yep. That's true.
When you're training these, like the leaders that are in the layer below you and your business partner at the marketing company, do you have boundaries, like don't text me after 9, or are you just there for them all the time? You need something, I'm here for you. You're doing write-outs with them. You're mentoring them more or less, or was there an importance there of setting boundaries just so you didn't get burned out?
Man, it's crazy because I was younger at the time. I was like 20, 22. So I enjoyed it, but it was a lot of traveling. I would be gone 2 weeks out of every month. Like half of my time every year was on the road, or on planes and hotel rooms, just living from one city to the next, and just going to these different markets, and really getting in with these leaders and training them and helping them grow mentally and financially as well. So there wasn't necessarily, hey, you can't call me past these certain hours, just because in business it just never stops. And we developed a culture where we actually enjoyed working around people. So it's just not like, hey, I don't like you, I'm just in business with you. We're actually close, like we're friends. Even to this day, we're all pretty close, so that's just how it always was. So it's just like we're talking to regular buddies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, that's awesome. You said something important there, though. In business, it never stops.
Yep.
And I know that I can feel like I struggle. I got a few years on you, but struggle for that balance, right? Because fear's a major motivator, right? Like fear of failure, fear of the competition, whatever I got to use to motivate me, I'm going to use. I don't take a lot of motivating, but staying balanced is tough when it doesn't ever stop.
Yeah.
What do you do in your life to try to take that deep breath, center yourself, stay balanced? Because if you're anything like me, man, if I didn't have family in my life, I would probably work 18 to 20 hours a day. Really, I might not even hit the gym very often.
Yeah.
So I'd just be hitting it all the time. What do you do? Do you strive for balance? Is that a priority to you? Or are you kind of right now, hey, I'll sleep when I'm dead?
Well, I mean, yeah, like when I was younger, it was just like, hey, I'm going to work, 20 hours a day type mentality. And that's what I did. And, the actual work itself has changed a lot throughout the course of my business career. And it was on purpose. And now it's not necessarily, hey, I have to physically be at a location or talking to people for a certain amount of hours. It's more so of when I actually am in front of people, the energy is actually being able to be transferred to these people to get what it takes. Just because what I've learned is it's not about the amount of time that you put into your business or whatever you're focused on. It's about the energy, right? So I could, work 3 hours a day and put 20 hours worth of energy into that 3 hours and accomplish way more. So the amount of time that I'm able to put in is super balanced now, just because, for one, I'm blessed I have a solid team of leaders to be able to help me. So it's not just me. The second thing is I'm able to, really purposely manage my time. So when I, do have to, handle certain tasks, the energy's there. So it's more so of balancing energy, not just time, if that makes sense.
Well, when you're talking about it, does. Yeah, absolutely. Because I think going through the motions comes through.
Yep.
Your people can tell when you're not into it.
Yep.
Conversely, when you've got that enthusiasm and you're bringing the juice, right? Like a lot of football coaches will say, like you bring your own guts day, bring your own juice day. Like I don't have someone in my ear every day when I wake up going, hey, Jess, let's be your best today, and I don't go read inspirational quotes. I just get up and let's fucking go. Because, if we're not going to go all out, what's the point? Let's go fishing, right?
Yeah.
Is that energy you're talking about? Is that the enthusiasm and almost that effervescent, like palatable, like just passion that people can feel through you when you're talking to them?
I mean, it's just like if you see any high caliber person in any industry, it's not just because of work or business. There's passion behind it, that's something that they enjoy to do, or it doesn't feel like business. So if I can sit here and tell you how many hours I put into my business, I couldn't tell you, just because I don't keep track. Never have. It's just never crossed my mind, just because I'm not going to do something if I don't enjoy to do it. You know what I mean? And it never felt like work. And yeah, there's times where, I get tired and, take, lavish vacations for a couple of weeks or what have you, or, just, spend some time with the family or take a couple of days off work. But that doesn't mean work stops. Like, for example, right now, I probably been to my actual office maybe 5 times in the past 30 days. And I do it on purpose. For one, I want my leaders to be able to solve problems without me solving them all for me. And I've learned that they're able to grow more versus me just solving everything. And for two, I'm able to really focus my energy on, learning new things to help the company grow, branding kind of what we're doing now, creating alliances around the country so we can do more business with each other, et cetera, et cetera. So it's been pretty well. And obviously it didn't start like this, but the main focus for a lot of years was to duplicate myself and to, delete myself from every scenario. So if I'm actually doing something, it's for the only simple fact of I'm going to eventually replace what I'm doing right now with another leader to be able to handle it for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you feel like that, in the last, 5, 6, 7 years, while you've grown into being a leader, a super effective leader, you've also learned and it's been easier for you to delegate and like let go? So I think a lot of people have that really hard if it's your baby, and I don't have kids. I don't know if you do, but my businesses are kind of like my children. So it's hard for me to relinquish And I don't know if it's all about, if it's being too controlling. Maybe it is more than that. It's about the kind of that perfectionist, hey, we're going to do this right. Cause when I was doing this all myself, every little detail was looked after. And I've had to say, wow, if they do it just 80 or 85% as good as I did,
Yeah.
then that's going to be okay. Have you kind of morphed into a good delegator, or was that something that you learned pretty quickly?
Man, I think it's probably one of my biggest strengths in business is delegating. And you're right. I have students that have a really tough time of just letting go of certain tasks, and that's why they don't grow. The biggest thing that people have to understand, there's only so much time in the day. There's only so much that you can do. So if I'm able to, delegate certain tasks to somebody that's even better than me, why not? Everybody's going to make mistakes, and it's not necessarily the mistakes that happen. It's finding the right person that's able to never make the same mistakes. So yeah, you want people to make mistakes, but it's when the mistakes keep happening. Okay, this is the person not in the right seat. You know what I'm saying? So that's when you really start to feel confident, is because, yeah, the mistakes are going to happen. They're not going to be able to grow or learn until the mistakes happen. So you're going to take a loss. You're going to make less money in that transition period. But once they get past it and they start really gaining traction, sky's the limit. It's not just you working on the specific task, but now you got somebody that's faster than you, that's better than you, that's stronger than you, that has more capability. Not only that, they're able to focus 100% of their time on this one task instead of a whole bunch of different ones that you as a CEO has to deal with.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely. The topic of culture comes up a lot of times when I talk to other entrepreneurs. Are you pretty obsessed with culture, in that, say a scenario, someone comes to you and says, I want to work for you, right? Here's my resume. It's a badass resume. Call their references. Wow, this person really produces results, but they're not a cultural fit. Are you going to give them a shot because maybe those results are there? Or are you going to say, no, man, we're culture first around here, and if you're not all in on the team, then you need to pursue something elsewhere? Kind of, where do you draw that line?
No, man, it's I don't think there is a line in that. So there's a couple things that we do kind of look for when we hire people, or if we want to partner with somebody. Is just core values, and obviously it's one of the basic traits that you always hear, but it's something that we really stick to. It's the main thing, especially if we're looking for somebody in sales, we're looking for somebody that's an independent thinker and it's an independent problem solver. And somebody that's coachable and teachable. So if we can have that, everybody's your friend when you're making money, so it doesn't really matter what you look like, how old you are, or where you're from. It's all irrelevant. What's most important is, are you going to come in here? Are you going to grow? Or are you going to be the same? You know what I'm saying? So once you develop a winning culture, everybody seems to, help each other out, get along, and even hang outside work or what have you, So culture is definitely super huge, because people, want to enjoy coming into, their workspace. And I think it's super important when it comes to retention, for sure.
Yeah, I love that. In your opinion as a sales expert, right? What are the main keys to sales? Are there some hacks? Are there some easy buttons? Are there some things that you really stress to your people? Things like do less talking and more listening, or things like that. What do you stress when you're going through sales trainings with people?
There's a couple processes, like obviously depending on, the sales position, every process is going to change a little bit. But sales is pretty basic within itself, like we call it, the 5 factors of impulse. It's called JB Fit. So you have Jones effect, you have being the expert, you have a level of indifference, take control. What else? I feel like I'm missing one. And then fear of loss. So it's just like, I'm sure everybody's been to like a supermarket or a shopping mall, and there's always the stuff that's on sale. When are you going to walk into a store and never see anything on sale? It's just never going to happen unless you're going to like Louis Vuitton or Lamborghini. You know what I'm saying? Even then, there's still some sales of like, hey, if you don't buy this now, the price is gonna go up type deal. So Jones effect, it's pretty simple. It's just like everybody wants what everybody else has. Being the expert is, knowing your product, being the expert behind it so people can trust you. And different is it's actually pretty funny. It's like everybody wants what they can't have, so it's just like you have a product that's available, and obviously you find people that are interested in it, and then you slowly take it away, and then all of a sudden they want it more. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's one of my strongest attributes is just, it's just the ability of access, I guess. Not everybody has access to my time per se. Obviously Ryan does just because we're, business partners in a sense, but it's just kind of one of the cool things that I've learned in sales is just like everybody hates that pushy car sales person, right? But what about that guy where it's just, I have products for sale, but it's not for sale for you. You got to work to be able to buy it from me type persona. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, that must take a while to curate, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Is that tough if you're a real hustler too, to play kind of that attraction, not chase game? Because
it's just like if you look at your significant other or the dating scene, for example, like the person in control is always the one that is being blown up or being chased, right? The person that's not in control is the one that's double texting, blowing somebody up, begging for a date type deal. And I've even learned this in the dating scene back when I was single years ago, but it worked in sales, so it's just kind of literally one of those things that everybody wants what they can't have.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
How have you used that to attract talent into your companies? So about 20 minutes ago, we were talking about you and your business partner going out and recruiting, spending a bunch of money, right? Marketing, recruiting these door-to-door sales personnel, interviewing 10 or however many, and maybe hiring 2 a week out of the 50 or 60. That's actively pursuing talent right there. Has your model flipped a little bit? Are you more attracting talent now than you are chasing it down? Or if you see somebody, you like what they're doing, they're young, they're a hustler, you go say, hey, what's up? I want you to come work with me? Or how's that work with you?
Yeah, I mean, our best talent is obviously came from, the outbound approach of really like going after, talented people that, would be a good fit. But, we have also really sharp talent that came from our brand that they wanted to come work with us, and it's not something that it's just we hand out to everybody. It's just we really look for a specific type of people to come work in our office. So if you do have that shot, you don't want to lose it, and everybody in the office kind of came through that same aspect, and they respect their opportunity a lot more just because it's the truth. It's just everybody wants to do real estate. Everybody wants to get into sales. Everybody wants to be a real estate investor. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. It's just saturated, it's just, I wish we could hire everybody, it'd be awesome, but it's not something that we just hand out. It's just not something that we do anymore.
Sure.
The
outbound, how are you identifying those candidates that you're like, we're going out, we're going to go, I want that.
Yeah.
That guy
So
or that
it's,
gal on my team.
It's just, I mean, for one, it's just kind of the financial thermostat of, belief where if somebody's making, 6 figures in a different industry, and if it happens to be sales, great, or if it's something that they were able to create in clientele or something, they know that that's what they're worth. They're not going to go under that anymore. So it's something that one of the key things I look for, and it's when you're talking to a shark, you're talking to a shark. You know what I mean? It's just the energy is just there. Even if somebody's not making the money, that you know what they're capable of doing just based off their persona and the energy that they give off.
They could sell luxury cars. They could sell luxury real estate. They could sell,
right,
crazy amenities. They've just got that thing where they're able to connect with a client in one of those different ways that you described previously.
Yep.
Right? Because everybody doesn't take the super laid back,
right,
I got what you want type of approach. Sometimes it is the hard driving, I'm not leaving till we close this, that gets it done. Talk about the different people on your team. Do you have a bunch of different personalities so you're hitting your sales targets from a bunch of different angles?
Yeah. I mean, obviously it's pretty mixed. So, we have in office. We have about 12 people in office now, so it's it's a lot of energies from a lot of different angles, and everybody has their own approach. It's not like one specific pitch or one specific type of system. The main thing is just making sure that these people believe in themselves and what's possible. It's probably the biggest driving force when we hire people is the ability to believe in yourself. If you have that ability, you can do fucking anything in this world. You know what I mean?
No doubt. What is it about you that caused you to be able to believe in yourself starting out? Mm-hmm. Was it just that extreme competitive nature that just kind of got you past any of the self-doubt into the game, or what is it? Your upbringing?
Well, I mean, I guess when you're in sales, there's a lot of different ways to go about it, but like for example, like when I was an amateur in sales, like I'd always stress out just because like, am I going to make sales next week? Am I going to be able to pay rent type deal, right? So once that disappeared, where I just knew sales were going to happen just because I was fucking there, it was game over. Like I knew I was, this was my career. Like I knew this is what I was born to do. I'm born to be a salesperson. That's what I thought I was going to do forever. And then it kind of grew where it's just like, I'm tired of doing this. I want more. And it kind of grew from being a salesperson to, let me think more like a business owner, and, develop team members to be able to help me and operate like an actual business, So pretty much every angle in our business, I had to work those departments and be able to duplicate certain processes and then, toss the baton to somebody else. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. How important is it to you to be that type of leader that shares all the credit when there's wins and accepts most of the responsibilities when there's a loss? Is that something you focus on?
Yeah, I've learned that too, man. It's just like, if you're just going to celebrate yourself, what I've learned is people will work harder for themselves or for a company than they will work for you specifically. And I know this for a fact. I've hired obviously hundreds of salespeople in my career, and I've learned it's not like you're only going to get somebody to work for you personally for so long. And then it's just, it is what it is. Like our best people, they want something for themselves. That's what sharks want. You can't take that from them. So if you're able to develop some type of process or, some type of angle for them to be able to get what they want out of your position or career, you're going to have a lot better opportunities with that person.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you kind of espouse that approach of, I'm going to train you so well that you could leave, but I'm going to treat you so well that you don't want to?
Yeah.
Is that kind of how you model the way you treat your people?
Yeah. Yes and no. Obviously it's just, for a lot of years in business, it was always just like my personal wants, my personal gains. I'm going to structure everything based off my personal lifestyle. And then when you're actually there, it gets pretty boring very quickly when you're the only person winning around you, and you start to like look around to other companies that are, billion-dollar companies, and you start to look at their structure, and it's just like, wow, there's not just one person actually making it happen. Like Elon Musk created how many millionaires out there by being able to, structure something where somebody can come in and, make stuff happen and and win. That's why he's a billionaire.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Speaking of him, I think he's got a bunch of quotes. Man, talk about an interesting dude, right?
Right.
But there was one that was trending online a couple weeks ago. Somebody asked him, hey, what words of encouragement would you give to entrepreneurs? And he said, if you need words of encouragement, you should not be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And I thought, man, damn, that's hardcore, right? Because
Facts.
you sure learn a lot about people when the rock's rolling down the hill at them, right? When they're under duress, when it's adversity's coming at them. What do? They square up and buckle that chin strap, or are they running for the sidelines? What's this last year been like for you business-wise? Were you rolling with the punches there last March, April, or kind of how did things go? Did you remain unaffected, or did it I know it affected the events side of things quite a bit.
Yeah, well, actually I know it hurt a lot of people, but it was a huge blessing for us. I wasn't too worried about it. It was just I knew exactly what was going to happen before it happened, while everybody was, running for the sidelines. So I took that opportunity and ran with it. To be honest, like nobody was buying houses for like a month, except for us.
Really?
Yeah. Other than like a couple people, right? So that really put our foot in the door of like, regardless of the times, we're still going to be here. It's just, it is what it is. A lot of hard money stopped lending.
Yeah.
People were freaking out. Banks even stopped lending, refinancing, and everybody was running for the hills. So what I saw, I was like, well, if nobody else is going to do it, somebody has to be is going to make all the money during this time. And I made a decision. It's going to be us. It's going to be our company. So literally, not only did we continue to do what we were doing, we just added more gas to the fire while everybody was running for the hills. And it worked out well, and we got through it pretty well. I mean, the probably the most discouraging part is everybody working from home. That was a huge shift just because everybody likes to be together, and the atmosphere, that the culture in our office is so strong. It's just that kind of lacked a little bit when everybody was like calling from their home office or whatever.
Yeah.
So that was pretty challenging, and it was a couple of weeks of less production, and then it just skyrocketed. When it came, May, it was just downhill from there.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, when it came from the events, obviously nobody was doing events, and I was like, well, opportunity, right? So we literally called Ryan. It's like, hey, bro, I know this is going to sound fucking crazy, but we're going to take advantage of this opportunity because nobody else is doing it. And, it put our foot in the door for that. It's just now we have the event, and it's always going to be there just because we pushed through adversity when nobody else would.
Yeah. Well, the fearlessness with which you conduct yourself in business and in your personal life, is that also just directly attributable back to that competitive fire?
I mean, I've always lived by the model.
Nobody else is putting together events, and you're like, let's do an event. And I was at that event, and there were a fuck ton of people there.
Yeah, I mean, we're about to do our third one. It's going to be the same thing. It is what it is. I mean, it's just like, I always say, hey, what's the worst that could happen? What's the worst thing that could possibly happen? I have time to recoup. I can do it all again. If I have to go knock doors again, I will. It's not something that's ever going to go away because I know how to do it. I've done it before.
Nobody can take away
what you know. Or your
That's
experience.
awesome. And nobody can take away the skills that you have developed, right? You didn't just you weren't just born with salesmanship ability. You've curated that and worked on that and developed that like a muscle, right? So now it's second nature. You can read people pretty quickly. You can you understand what type of sale it's going to be probably within the first 2-3 minutes of talking to a potential sales target, client, whatever. Nobody can ever take that. That's a great thing to base a fearless lifestyle on. Hey, I've done this before. I know, and you know what a lot of people are afraid of too? Working hard. Like they are intrinsically afraid of having to actually roll up their sleeves and toil for something. And once you've done that and you've broken your back and you've traveled 2 weeks, a month, or whatever, you're not afraid of that shit anymore, man. You're just like, so what? Cool, 20-hour work day. I actually would like to do that. So.
I mean, it goes back to it, man. It's just like you enjoy what you do. It's not really gonna phase. I mean, it's probably one of the toughest people that it's hard for me to relate to is people that don't like to work. I just don't understand.
I don't either, man. It's like they're speaking a different language.
Yeah,
I have a real hard time being empathetic toward them too, because I'm just like, I don't get it, man. Like we're breathing different air here or something. I
mean, in the entrepreneur world, if somebody that doesn't like to work hard, they're probably, it's going to be really, really tough for them to be an actual entrepreneur. So they're not even in our circles. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, there's no substitute for hard work.
Right.
There's no shortcuts.
Yep.
I'm sure, and we don't have to put any of your business failings on Front Street, but I'm sure there's things that you thought, man, this is going to work.
Yep.
And it didn't work.
Oh yeah.
And you what'd you do? You just got up the next day and came up with another idea?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, especially in real estate, in the business structure, just because, in the sales world, it's just like constant transactions and volume. You get paid quick or whatever. And real estate world, it's like a 90-day turnaround. So if we make one adjustment, it's going to take 90 days to even see any type of result. So it has take a lot of, trial and error to, get into a position where it's like, okay, this works, this doesn't work. I've learned it's just never shut something down 100% until you have something to, replace it in business. So it's just the drastic change. You have to be mentally prepared to not see results for a long time, if that makes sense. If you really want true change in your business.
Yeah, right. So not immediate gratification, delayed.
Yep.
Right. If you really want to grow, growing up or as a young entrepreneur, young business guy, did you have mentors? Like, was that first business partner at the marketing company? Was he like a mentor to you, or?
Yeah, I mean, I've hired a lot of coaches, been to a lot of seminars, and have a solid network of friends to be able to help. So there's not necessarily one specific person that was just like, hey, this person really changed my life. And I wish there was, because there's a lot of them. There's a lot of people that help me, develop mentally of, just that belief level of being able to, just go. I mean, obviously one of the biggest ones is my mom. She was never an entrepreneur. She was never in sales or in business. But one thing that she did instill in us is just, we knew we were going to have a place to sleep. We knew we were going to be able to eat. We knew we were going to have clothes on our backs. It wasn't a question, regardless of how hard things, regardless of how bad it was. Those things, like the essentials for survival, was always going to be there. And because of that, it's just, I feel like, a lot of us are spoiled. Yeah. We take advantage of the opportunities that we have right in front of our fucking face just because we're being bitches. We're being selfish. And you sometimes get lazy or burned out, but it's just a matter of humbling yourself and realizing it's just the purpose that you had to get started has to be there. You have to constantly keep that on your mental all the time. You know what I mean?
You control your mentality.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, your mindset is your mindset. If you want to play victim, more power to you, man. There's 75 million Americans who will join right along with you, man. Let's go hand in hand and sing Kumbaya about how bad things are.
Right.
Or we can pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and put on a tool belt and get the fuck to work.
Exactly.
And there's a big difference between those two. Do you think? I feel like our society's gotten very soft in just the last 10 years, let alone
Big
the
time.
10 before that.
Yep.
Are you still able to find that talent? You're bringing in talent of people who are like-minded to you that have kind of that come hell or high water, we're blazing forward mindset and approach? Or when you bring people on, are you like, hey, this is part of what we're going to do here is we're going to forge that mindset in you? Or, how do you navigate that when you're talking to a new recruit?
I mean, it's a little bit of both, in business, like anything else, like I'm in business to, develop people. That's like one of my main tasks and duties. And if I'm not able to do that, my company will never grow. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we get talent where that thermostat's already there. That mentality has already been developed. But a lot of it is just trial and error and getting people to actually believe in themselves when they come in. And over time, the confidence just continues to increase as they get more comfortable in their position.
Yeah. The confidence piece, especially in sales, is super important. Not arrogance, right? Because that comes right through. You can feel that. But when people are confident because they know what they're selling, they know the business, how long does it take people to ramp up? Or are you mostly hiring people with a lot of real estate experience? Or are you hiring experienced and non-experienced? Those people like you talked about with that thermostat that maybe they're coming from a different space or a different vertical, but they can slot right in because they've got the right mindset, and you just lead the way and they're off to the races.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of both. My favorite is obviously, the guy coming in, that they have really good core values. They're coachable, they're teachable, they're humble, and they're hungry. Those are our best ones. And a lot of times they didn't have. It's not necessarily they didn't have the ability to do it. They just didn't have the right platform to do it on. And that's definitely my favorite talent to come in, just because the the change that you see from when they start to where they're at is just so amazing. It's so fulfilling to see. So it's just, and on top of that, you know, when you get that type of person, it's just a lot easier to develop new habits than to break old ones, you know? So a lot of people are looking for like the top talent salesperson who doing, you know, crazy millions of dollars for another company to come in and do the same thing for their company. But what they don't realize is there's a certain amount of work that you have to do with that talent when they come on board with you, and it's not always easier. Most of the time, it's going to be harder.
Breaking bad habits is a really, really hard thing to do.
New habits are way easier to develop than break bad habits.
Yeah, man, at my old company, we did it this way. Well, you're not at your old company, man. Like, there's the door.
Yep.
Go on back. Oh, wait, they're out of business. I forgot.
Yep.
What type of so you talked about developing people. I'm sure you've worked very hard on developing yourself as well. What type of like have you ever read that book Atomic Habits by James Clear? It's a pretty cool book.
I've read some chapters. I haven't finished it. No.
Are there things that you do that that you concentrate on that are just little things daily that you feel like put you in the right headspace, like maybe get to bed early, get up early, hitting the gym, just little atomic habits, as James Clear would call them, that you focus on and that you try to put emphasis on in your life?
I mean, to be honest, I feel like what works really well for me and what I enjoy the most out of my life is to do what I want whenever I want with whoever I want. To be honest with you, a lot of people are hopping on podcasts. I wake up at 5 a.m.
Yeah,
super disciplined.
I read 2 books a week.
Yeah, I mean, this is great. It's awesome, you know. But
I don't believe you, right? That's what I say when people are like, I read 2 1,000-page books a week. I'm like, well, how do you run companies too, man?
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Well, I mean, it's great. You know, it's awesome. But I spend a lot of time with myself. You know, it's a lot of the time I do spend working is just, I'm a visionary. You know, I have to literally convince myself something's possible in order for everybody else to have the opportunity. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of that comes from being by myself, you know, and meditating and being a salesperson, selling myself on what is going to happen that hasn't happened yet. If that makes sense.
It does. I like to meditate as well. How did you get started in that? You start with like guided meditations just to kind of get your feet wet, and then it's taken shape from there, and you kind of have your own meditation practice?
I mean, to be honest, when I was starting in business, like I used to take 23-minute naps every single day. I would read like a chapter in a book, take a 23-minute nap every single day.
Just because that was Jordan's number, or what's 23 about?
Well, I would try to take 30-minute naps, and it would take like 6 or 7 minutes for me to fall asleep.
Gotcha.
So it would literally be 23-minute naps after I'd read a chapter every single day, and I'd just be by myself. You know, when I was knocking doors, I would literally find the closest CVS, park in between 2 cars, throw the seat down, read the book, take a nap. And that was,
That's
was
cool.
literally every single day like clockwork. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, over the years, I just started to, you know, realize it's just a lot of, you know, my internal thoughts have a lot to deal with the energy that I put out. You know what I'm saying? So being able to, you know, make sure your mentality is right and really figure out all these problems before you actually express it. And it's just certain habits that you develop over time. It's not something that, hey, this is what it is. This is what it looks like. Because it could be random parts of the day. It's just,
sure.
I'm not texting anybody back for like an hour and a half. Omar's like, bro, why aren't you texting me back? I'm like a peasant to you now. I'm like, bro, like I'm literally by myself doing nothing. No music playing, not looking at my phone, just sitting there, just thinking. You know what I'm saying? For like an hour. And I enjoy doing it because it's just like I'm visualizing things that's going to happen in business that just hasn't happened yet, or hasn't been developed yet, or hasn't even seen the surface. Nobody even knows about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Are you a big proponent of that positive self-talk, positive thinking, positive, hey, maybe things aren't going well right now. Let's concentrate on the solution instead of blowing this problem up and making that the focus. Let's shine the light on the way out or the way through or the way over.
Yeah.
Is that important to you in your culture at your businesses as well?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I've learned a lot. You know, I can't be super impulsive in making decisions, and I've made some bad impulsive decisions that cost a lot of money and cost a lot of opportunity before. So,
Oh, congrats. You're a human.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I've learned I have to be a little bit more patient, and see things through and really find the best solution possible that's going to benefit not just myself, but everybody that's involved or the money that's involved. And I think that's way more important than, a selfish and impulsive decision. That makes sense.
Yeah, it absolutely does. It sounds like your ability to be patient is something that's grown.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times when we're young, man, it's I want it now. Let's go. Let's.
Yep.
I got a 10-year plan. Well, Elon Musk said this too, right? Turn your 10-month plan into a 6-month plan. You ain't gonna hit that 10-month, but you're gonna get a lot closer than you would if you just stayed on the 10-month. Well,
Yep.
that's great, but patience is a superpower. Do you consider yourself to be a patient person now?
Yeah, I'm a lot more patient. I do have impatience. A lot of times that's what keeps us all moving, I guess. But it's. I mean, to be honest, like it comes back to like the indifference standpoint. Like I don't have to, stress my body or my mentality every single day like I used to. I've been blessed to be able to position myself in business and financially or in life where I don't have to, make a deal close in order for our company to survive for the month. It just doesn't work like that anymore. Just by being responsible with smaller things that revolves around that, more confidence has been built up where I can be more patient. I don't have to, stress out about that super high fire that needs to be put out. I can afford to, spend some time to find the best solution. If that makes sense.
It does. Do you bounce stuff off some of these people in your life that maybe they're a little beyond you, they've achieved more, or
yeah.
you just you appreciate their mentality? And did you do that when COVID first broke out? Because that was obviously
Yep.
foreign territory for a lot of us, although some of us who may be more a little politically inclined than others knew exactly what was happening when it was happening. But what's that process like for you? Are you like, okay, I'm pretty sure I know which direction, but I'm gonna use this guy, this gal as a sounding board just to see kind of where I'm at?
Yes and no. I mean, obviously I have, a good connection of, high performing people. So there's a lot of times we do bounce ideas off each other, especially if I know that they've mastered a certain category of whatever the issue is. It's a simple question to ask, like, hey, how do you structure this? How do you handle this situation? But I'm telling you, man, when you reach a high level of success, a lot of your growth comes from developing things that has never happened before, or you're not going to specifically know somebody that went through the same challenges. And that's where your ability to be self solution oriented or being an independent solution solver is going to make you like invincible. It's just because I don't have to ask anybody for help. And it's not about that I'm being selfish. I just know that there's not a lot of people that have been through this before. And because I know that there's growth beyond that. And I'm able to coach people that go through that problem in the future because I was able to, achieve that. If that makes sense.
Absolutely. Experience is knowledge. Everything
Yep.
else is just information, right? Einstein said that. That's so true.
Yep.
When you go through something is when you really learn it. Just like when you teach something, you relearn it again. That's extremely true.
Yep.
I think the tough part about making those decisions in a when it's time sensitive is just being at peace and being all in, right? Like,
Right.
okay, this is what we're going to do. And I 100% believe in this, even if maybe 10% I don't, I 100% do.
Yep.
Follow me into this fire. We're getting to the other side.
Yep.
And part of leadership is even when you do doubt the approach, just blazing forward, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's no substitute for people believe in you, right? They come work for you because They like your brand, yes, but probably also because they have a vision for how they want to see their lives go.
Absolutely.
And maybe some of that, they want to see their life go in the direction your life is going. Well,
Yep.
you have a big responsibility to those people.
Yep.
Those people, their livelihood, the livelihood of their children, that rests on your shoulders.
Yep.
So if you shit the bed, it's game over for
Oh, yeah.
everybody, man.
Oh, yeah.
Is that stressful to you, or is that just kind of a load that you're prepared to carry on a daily basis?
No, I mean, it's just the reality of business, man. It's just there's a lot of families that are affected by or impacted negatively and positively based off my decisions in business. You know what I'm saying? So I think what has been easier, the past, year or so is just, developing leadership in the company where it's like not just me making all the decisions, where it's just like, hey, let's take a vote. Let's evaluate this this situation, this process together and figure out the best solution together as a team. And it's not just, putting the entire load on myself. It's being able to, for one, they're able to solve the problems as well. So they're able to grow mentally as well, or, leadership wise. But the next time the fires come up, we understand it's a team approach instead of just my approach. A lot of people say it's just like, hey, if there's a problem in business, it's all my fault. That's not fucking true in my company. Like, if there's a problem in business, it's all of our fault. What the fuck happened and how are we going to fix it? Not me. I wasn't there to do it. You fucked it up, or we fucked it up. You know what I'm saying? So the victory is as well. It wasn't just me. Right. It was all of us. We all celebrate that. You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely.
It just, changes a little bit in business. But you're right. Families do get affected by the decisions that happen.
How do you promote retention and prevent turnover in your businesses? How do you keep people engaged? Is it a matter of, yes, your income's going to increase, but I'm also going to load you down with more responsibility and maybe a different title? Or is it recognizing when someone's starting to get burned out doing that one maybe binary task and you kind of branch them off and, hey, I need your help over here too, and that helps them grow and they feel more engaged and they feel like they're taking more ownership? Or how do you approach that whole retention piece?
I mean, at the end of the day, man, it's business. It's just business. It's nothing personal per se, but it is personal. So, for a lot of years, I would, get really close to a lot of these people, and I'd get so close to them where if they make mistakes or whatever, it would take months for me to fire them. And I was just like, what, I'm just going to just wait till you quit just because I care about you or what have you. And I had to snap out of that, or it's just like, okay, the reality of what my experience is in business is the same, however many people I have now is not going to be the same people in the next, 10 years. These people are either going to elevate themselves or they're just going to go somewhere else, and there's going to be somebody else that's going to come in. That's just what's going to happen, and that's what I've seen over the past couple of years. That's exactly what happened. I would say 2 years ago, there's 3 people maybe on my team still than 2 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to happen. Like, people are going to come. People are going to make mistakes. People, bust their ass. People will get burned out. And if you're not constantly, attracting more talent, you're going to see your company fucking go through the ringer and just disappear. That's just what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people look
that's
at
why
it where
never
it's just,
stops.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. A lot of people look at it, it's just like, okay, all I got to do is just hire these couple of people and I'm set for life. Well, you're going to learn very quickly it's not how it works.
Yeah, if you disengage for 6 months,
exactly,
there's no company left.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Because you're the visionary, like you said.
Yep.
There's no
constantly bring new people in.
Do you have a pretty quick trigger finger now that you can recognize maybe a pattern in someone or red flags quicker than you could before? Or is it more that you've just taken more of that pragmatic approach where, hey, we're not buddies, we're in business, and if you're not performing and I give you maybe a second or a third shot at it and you still can't hit the mark, we got to go in another direction?
Well, I mean, like, my goal for my leaders is it's not that I just want you to be financially free. I want your time to be free, because I know if my leaders have free time, they're able to solve more problems versus, be on the phones or solve business to consumer problems. So that is literally my goal for all the leaders in my company. It's just like, for one, the first one, let's get you financially free, a place you've never experienced before. Let's hit this financial thermostat. The very next goal after that, it's time free. Let's develop systems around your exact task so we can put other people and provide more opportunities for people in that task. You're going to oversee them. You're going to start to see problems that you've never seen before. But because you have this experience, now it's time to be a fucking leader. You're going to go from, a really high performing salesperson to a strong business owner / leader, and that's just the growth to our leadership. And it's just the reality of it. And on top of that, too, it's just like, I love my life. Like, I literally built a business based off what I prefer to do every single day. And it's whatever I want. Like, I hate, working for other people or taking orders or having to follow a schedule based off somebody else. I fucking hate that.
Yeah, me too.
And it's just, I know if I hate, how am I going to hate something so bad and make somebody else do that? You know what I'm saying? It's just, that's where it was really hard for me to like enjoy that process. But now it's just like, okay, like let's get it rolling. So, we can both go where the fuck we want whenever we want with our wives or our kids or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Buying that time back, super important. Backtracking a little bit to building those canvassing teams, was the way that you would kind of promote those team leaders is as new recruits came in, those new hires were like your currency, right? So like if a team leader is really crushing the game, he's getting more and more guys on or gals on their canvassing teams, or how did you structure that?
I mean, in a way, the majority of the time it was just practice. So like when we'd have an office manager, we would always have a number two. Like every time we opened an office, we would literally promote somebody and then take somebody from a different office. They would work together. Then we would build and develop a sales office in that specific market. And how it'd work is just like, the assistant or the number two, they're just there to have that experience so they can be in that role so they can eventually go off and do their own thing, in a different market. And that's how we would be able to expand nationwide.
When you're visiting those different offices, were you showing up like Jordan Belfort and walking up to a guy and go, sell me this pen, or asking guys to pitch you?
It's just, it wasn't necessarily, because I knew I wasn't going to be in that market for very long physically, so I knew the less face I would have to show, the better. So it was just mostly going into those markets to spend that direct time with that leader or those leaders. Yeah.
If you ever had like a policy change in your company, instead of just passing that down to the masses, like Moses bringing the 10 Commandments down or something, do you take your leaders and go, okay, we're thinking about doing this to get them all on board first and then roll it out? How's that work?
Yeah. So, like, for example, policy change, like, you have to be a salesperson. You have to get people to believe in whatever the adjustment is, and it has to benefit everybody. It can't just benefit one specific person or you. And a lot of people make decisions based off profit. In business is about people. You know what I'm saying? So it's just the way it works. You're going to have to learn how to make less net profit to be able to structure a better company for the long term of the people in your company. It's just what's going to happen. And it's not always, let's just pay somebody more money to make them happy. It's just what everybody always recruits to. You can't buy people,
Yeah, that's true.
A lot of people think they can. They can't. This isn't fucking ClickFunnels.
Yeah, no, you're right.
This is sales, baby. You know what I'm saying? This is the way it works.
Absolutely. People will always forget what you say. They'll then forget what you do, but they'll never forget how you make them feel.
Yep.
Was it hard for you as you started to mature? If you had to let somebody go, maybe they're at a barbecue talking about you, that you're an ass, my boss, he ripped me off, my boss, he's a jerk, he's an asshole, or are you just like, hey, we got a goal here, and the goal is to win. So if you're not helping us win, we got to move on without you, and you say whatever you want, you're not on this team anymore, and we're blazing forward.
Obviously we've had to cut people and they go off talk shit, but ethically, even those people, they would always come back around. 6 months, 9 months would go by, 12 months, what have you. We'd always get like apology texts or whatever. Sorry. A lot of people don't understand a lot of decision making, especially in those situations, especially if it is personal, until they experience real life where it's just, hey, it's not us, it's you. You know what I mean? So it's just, as long as you're doing the right thing and the most ethical thing all day, every day, you don't have to worry about that. It doesn't even faze me. I know at the end of the day, I'm doing God's duty and tasks that he told me to do, and that's just the way I live my life. You know what I mean?
Does faith play a pretty big role in your life?
Yeah, of course. Oh, yeah.
Yeah? Were you raised in the church? Raised on the Bible?
Yeah, I mean...
I was too, man. That's cool.
Look, man, it's just... I don't believe in luck, I do believe in God, but I think the big thing that a lot of people overlook, the reality of it is, like, a lot of people look forward to the next life. That's what a lot of churches, they always, pitch eternal life, which is great to look forward to. But what about this life?
Yeah.
I'm trying to live the best life now. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to wait till I die and go live in wherever.
Yeah.
I'm trying to live the best quality life right now. That's just the way I live my life. And I know God is putting these opportunities in my life for me to take advantage, but it always comes with a sacrifice. God is not going to provide a higher level of what have you without something in return. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So, and one of the biggest, examples of that in my business career is I literally had to close $1 million business to really, really grow in business. And I knew I had to sacrifice that company to see something so fucking significant. And God just wanted, hey, give me something and I'll give you something that you've never seen before. You know what I mean? So I talk to a lot of people where it's just like, hey, I have a job or whatever. I'm making good money. I don't need to work, what have you. But I'm like, dude, you got to make a sacrifice if you want to win. You can't get something for nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I see these challenges and these obstacles and kind of what we were talking about earlier. It's just like I can't even ask some of these people these problems because it's never happened to them before. They don't know how to respond to it. And I know it's God talking to me where it's just I'm putting these situations in your life so you can go out there and live your best life right now. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. What are some of the bigger, other than that other business, those bigger sacrifices that you've had to make? There've been like personal relationships and things like that have had to go by the wayside just because they weren't aligned with maybe your life's mission.
Yeah, relationships with women, a lot of women didn't understand, my way of business or how much time I had to allocate towards it. My time, obviously. Being away from family was huge. Even to this day, I try to spend as much time with them as I can. But they don't really understand, you're going to have to go through a lot of confusion for a couple years as you're building. And my family didn't understand that for a long time. And it took, even after I was successful, you go through a phase where they didn't believe it. And then you go through a phase where they don't think it's going to last. And then you go through a phase where, what's in it for me? And then you go through a phase where I want to be a part of it. And then you're going to go through a phase of then they understand. You know what I'm saying? So that's a huge sacrifice. Just because family's never going to go anywhere. Right. You know what I mean? Obviously, friends, financial sacrifices. All types of different sacrifices to be able to, get to where I'm at.
Yeah. Yeah. The air is thin up there at the top of the mountain, man. Like it's painful to get to level up.
Yeah.
It is.
I don't think I'm on a mountain. I think I'm on a foundation of something that can't be destroyed, if that makes sense.
Yeah. You put yourself in the position to grow, and that foundation is strong. Back to that canvassing. What were the principles you taught those guys about overcoming objections at the door? You knock on somebody's door, they a lot of times don't want to see you. They probably wonder if you're a Jehovah's Witness half the time. Is the key to being a good door-to-door canvasser, being able to overcome objections and then get that person to start talking? Is that the key?
Yeah. I mean, man, I've seen some really talented salespeople in my career. I mean, I remember one guy specifically, his name is Manny. Man, this guy, he was a little heavier set. He would literally knock on 3 doors and have 2 sales every single day, like clockwork. Like, I've never seen anything like it in my entire life. And I'm like, this is crazy. And he's probably one of the most talented salespeople I know in my life. Like, he's like crazy talented. And he does really well because of it. Like, he knows what he's got, you know what I mean? But one thing Manny taught me is just like the people just don't understand until they understand. So your ability to get in there and close the deal is to make sure that you're able to get them to understand. And part of that is, that personal connection. Being able to get in there and have the ability to win these people's time, especially when you're knocking on doors. You need to get it like as soon as they crack that door open. They need to be cracking up, laughing, or what have you, engaged in a conversation so they can take you serious. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And so Manny had that ability like nobody I've ever seen before. Like,
to connect.
Yeah, the ability to connect with people that fast is crazy,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the thing that we teach our guys and gals is to be listening. Obviously, they're going to tell you when they don't understand.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. And then they don't get it till they get it. Mm-hmm. But then also to be super observant, because a lot of times people know they need help, but they don't want to admit it.
Yep.
And one thing we do is somebody says, no, I'm not interested. We say, well, hey, so I do this for a living. Would you mind taking just a couple minutes, like a live survey here? Tell me what I could do better. And a lot of times, like 8 out of 10 times, that person's like, well, shoot, yeah, because it's usually a young individual on their door, and they'll give a little feedback, and then all of a sudden they start talking, and then all of a sudden the sale's made.
Yep.
And that connecting with people is so important. That's what you do now, right? Your clients are now the people who work for you, aren't they?
Yeah, yes, no. I mean obviously we still have homeowners, but,
right.
But yeah, I mean, understanding people's needs.
You.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't talk to many actual property owners.
No.
Yeah. So it's you coaching your people. Mm-hmm. So you connect with them. You have to sell them on the vision.
Yep.
And that's that's a challenge.
Oh yeah.
Keeping people
challenging.
Yeah. When you first got started, you said you sold, you saved your money, you started acquiring properties. Were you acquiring wholesale deals? Were you running your own wholesale deals? Were you buying them from wholesalers? How does that work?
Well, I mean, I did a couple wholesale deals before I started really getting into, fix and flipping. And to be honest, I was just trying to figure it out. So yeah, I can do wholesaling, no risk or what have you. So I did a couple of them, probably like 5 or 6. And then, I really started to pay attention on the backside because I'd be selling the properties. I'm like, well, what'd you do with it? Like, why'd you buy it so quickly from me? Or where'd you get the money? Started asking questions, the right questions. So, and then I realized, I was like, okay, I'm a wholesaler. He found me through Facebook or whatever, and he's got money to buy a property. It's not his money. He's using somebody else's money. Buying the property, he's fixing it up, and then he's reselling it, and then he makes the difference in a check. So it's like, this is crazy. I'm just missing one step. I just need to find money. And it's literally what I did. I was just, started literally asking everybody I knew. It's just like, I have great opportunities. I'm a wholesaler. I can make a lot more money if, I could borrow some of this money and then, pay you back a return. And, that's what I was doing. I would literally tell everybody I would know what I would do, like on Facebook, in person. Like, I was a real estate investor now. Like, I've just made the commitment, and that was just my new title. It's just, it was what it was, So, and then, started networking with other wholesalers, even putting new wholesalers on to teach them how to do it, do marketing, bandit signs, find deals, and I would buy them and then, use private money, fix them up, resell them. So
that's awesome.
Not really difficult, but yeah.
Do you have any bad experiences with contractors? Your fix up crews? Yeah. Had some growing pains there. Had to learn some.
Oh yeah.
Some tough lessons.
Yeah. I mean, like, obviously everybody gets started, trying to do fix and flips because of what they see on HGTV or whatever. They think they got to do heavy rehabs and stuff like that. after I did, my first couple of rehabs, I kind of realized, I was like, man, I didn't have to spend all that money in that specific property. I still would have bought it. And I started doing less work. Every house, I was like, what's the least amount I can do to get the most money? And then I started really evaluating the time that I have to go in and stuff like that. So contractors are contractors. Obviously I learned a lot through construction and being in real estate past couple of years. I learned how much stuff costs and who's going to try to take advantage of you and stuff like that, which comes with experience. But one of the big things I've learned is I'm not trying to be a HGTV, this isn't for show. I'm here to make money. You know what I'm saying? So that's just kind of how I left it.
Absolutely. Some people who watch this podcast are new to or very interested in flipping, and they don't really know how to get started. What's the best way to find your first deals? Is it to learn the wholesaling game? Because then you learn values and you learn how to get value on the front end of the deal? Or what, in your opinion, what's the best way to start learning that?
Yeah, yes and no. I know a lot of people that get started doing fix and flips. And to be honest, I think that's easier than doing wholesale, just because wholesaling is not necessarily investing. Like, it's a sales and marketing game, right? So I was really skilled at it because I had the experience to do it. It's just like I was already in sales, I was already in marketing, and just kind of put the two together. And in real estate, it was just really easy for me. A lot of people struggle when they get into wholesale because they think they can just spend money on marketing because they have it and make a bunch of sales. And it's not really how it works. You have to be skilled at it. You know what I mean? Which takes development, just like any other sales job. It's just it's a sales position. Yeah. I don't know why that doesn't click in people's brain where they think they don't have to do sales anymore because now they're in real estate. Well, hey, dumbass, this is going to be a way challenging sales process. You know what I'm saying? Now, fix and flipping is a little bit different just because, you can, build a book of business with wholesalers and agents and, start shopping on MLS and find deals. They're everywhere. There's wholesalers on every block. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And the deal's already negotiated. It's already figured out. Title's already clean. All I got to do is, find the money or have the money to buy it. And then, go in, have, preferred contractors to go in and do the work and then resell it. So profit margins are obviously smaller just because, you didn't do the sales or marketing aspect of it, but you can still make money. You know what I'm saying? And we work with a lot of first-time fix and flippers just because they understand that. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you do have the sales ability and, the ability to spend money on marketing, then, you could do wholesaling too. And it's just like any other, sales process is you're trying to get the house as cheap as you possibly can. You know what I'm saying? So, but a lot of people don't understand that they have to spend money on marketing sometimes, where it's just like, I have all this free time and no money. Well, that's probably why you have no money, broke at. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. Go get a job. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So it is pretty hard for me to, coach people that have a lot of time and no money, just because it goes back to that aspect of you aren't really motivated to make money from the get-go. You know what I'm saying?
In layman's terms, Cliff Notes version, explain how wholesaling works here in Texas for people who aren't familiar just with the principles of it, how it works, the systems and processes.
All right, super simple. You have somebody that is selling a property. It might need some work, it might not be, but you're able to buy it at a discount enough where you're able to sell that agreement or the interest in the property to somebody that's going to be able to purchase the property in cash or use somebody else's cash. But you can't use bank loans, or banks won't pay what you call an assignment fee, and that's what you would receive when you sell that interest to your rights in that property, which is called an assignment of contract. So long story short, find a house at a discounted price, you find somebody to pay a little bit more for it, and then you keep the difference.
And the way you accomplish that legally is through a double close normally?
No, you can assign it. So, for example, you put the property under contract with your interest to assign the property. And then when a buyer comes in, you use an assignment of contract. So it's just an assignment. So it just shows up on a HUD statement as a fee to you.
And those assignment fees right on the front end, those are paid to the seller, right, to get them to sign with you. And then really so this might be the wrong term. Correct me if I'm out of bounds here, but you're a poor man's realtor, right? Instead of I'm going to give all this money away to a realtor to market on whatever, Zillow, Redfin, whatever, I'm paying you, or I'm selling my house to you, and you're going to go market it and find someone to get this thing.
No, not necessarily. So the seller's not paying you, the buyer's paying you. If that makes sense. So it changes a little bit. So you're essentially, when you go in contract with the seller, you're going in with your ability to close. So that's our approach. It's like we have the ability to close this property, and that's what we intend to do, right? So you have that intent with the seller. Now, when you go to market the property, it's just like, hey, I have this interest to intend to close on this property, essentially, and I need somebody to come and buy it, or I want somebody to come and buy it for a higher price, essentially. And so that price that you sell it for, and the difference between the price that you agreed with the intent to purchase the property with the seller is what's called the assignment fee.
Gotcha.
So the buyer is paying the assignment.
Yeah, and is the real key to this whole thing that your seller needs to be motivated? There needs to be a reason why they need to sell quickly and right now?
It's not necessarily have to be motivated, or sell quickly. You just are able to be convenient for them. We purchase properties all the time where, like, we literally bought a house. He's probably going to watch this, but this dude hit me up on Instagram. He's like, hey, my dad has his house in Houston. He uses it occasionally, a couple times a month, but he doesn't really need it. And I was like, okay, send me the address. And he told me how much he wanted for it. And he wanted, like, I don't know, 190 or 195 for it. And I looked at it. I was like, hey, man, I can't do it. I can buy it for 170. He's like, let me talk to my dad. I said, great, let me know. Follows back up. He's like, hey, he said he can do it for 180. I was like, you know what? Let's just meet at 176 and call it a day. And we bought the house.
That's great.
Yeah, we bought the house. And now, like, his first day was today. He's like, I want to sell you this house because I want to learn how to do this. I want to come work for you. That's essentially his value add to get his foot in the door. It's funny.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, now, Cliff Notes, what's wholetailing?
Okay, wholetailing. All right, so wholetailing is where you actually close on the property, and we call it wholetailing where we absolutely do nothing to the property. We just immediately list the property for sale on MLS after we close on it.
Do you ever wholetail and only do the demo?
If we wholetail, we do absolutely nothing to the property except for turn the utilities on.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And
now, there's sometimes in properties we'll have contingencies where we will do lender required repairs because there's some properties where a bank can actually finance the property. It's not like completely messed up.
Sure.
So yeah, sometimes we'll put a new HVAC in if the buyer requests it or what have you. But it's always under contract again before we even do any repairs.
Are you normally selling that to an end user or to a fix and flipper?
It kind of depends on the property and the condition of it. If it's a medium, if it's livable and stuff like that, we'll get somebody to come in and buy the property and fix it up while they live there. Or, we'll have somebody a cash investor come in and bid on it. But it just give or take, it's not like a specific system on who that buyer is. We never know until the offers come in.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
How many deals a month would you say you average?
Like wholesale or in total?
Fix, flip, wholesale, wholetail?
Probably anywhere from 25 to 30 closed.
Right on.
Yeah.
And a lot of those you're getting through all your connections on social media?
No, I would say a good a portion of them, they do come from like our brand, but a lot of them come from like our direct marketing. Like we're reaching out there.
And
yeah, we do cold call, SMS, RVMs.
Do you canvas?
Facebook. We don't canvas. Yeah,
you know how to build those teams,
times.
Man. You got to build a canvassing team.
I got kind of burned out in the door-to-door game. It was just something that I didn't really enjoy after a couple of years.
I got you. How hard is it to teach someone who's new to the game how to spot value or the lack thereof or big problems when they go out to say close on a wholesale deal?
So we do everything virtually. So everything is done from our office or over the phone, even if it's in our own city. Literally everything is virtual. So we don't necessarily teach our reps like how to comp properties or what price to get them at. The main thing that we're looking for is somebody that actually wants to sell. Somebody that, kind of what you're saying, that they are motivated or have some type of motivation to to sell the property quickly. And at that point, we'll go in and see if it's something that we can do, and we shoot them an offer.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What's your marketing budget monthly? If you want to share that,
we're probably spending anywhere from 50 to 60 grand a month in marketing.
Yeah. And you're pretty focused on where you're marketing. These neighborhoods where you can leverage the most value.
That's kind of how it started, right? But we kind of blanket Texas, the entire state of Texas now.
Yeah. Right on. That mass texting thing that you talked about,
Mm-hmm.
what program do you guys use?
So we do SMS, and to be honest, we're probably not going to continue to grow on it. We use, I think it's Roar.
Mm-hmm.
But how the new litigations and stuff that's coming out, I don't think there's a future in it.
Same thing with cold calling?
No, cold calling's been around since
Even
telephones
though they've got
been
all
out.
those do not call lists and all that?
No, cold calling's not going anywhere.
Yeah?
No.
Really? How do you get past the client not answering the phone because they don't recognize your number? Do you slide dial them, leave a voicemail, call back?
Yeah, like leave a voicemail,
Yeah?
call them back.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So many people don't listen to their voicemails, though, anymore. Am I just making excuses now?
Yeah.
Is that what you would say if I was You're just making
You
excuses?
do enough of them,
motherfucker?
people will
Yeah.
listen to them.
Really?
Yeah.
Hey, I want your house. I want to buy your house. I can get this closed. What do you tell a wholesaling target, a client?
Mm-hmm.
I can get this closed for you in XYZ number of days.
We tell them about 30. Yeah, 30 days.
Yeah. So you sign with me, you're going to have money in your pocket in 30 days, where it's a much longer process than that if you sign with a realtor.
That's the thing. We always under-promise, over-deliver,
Sure.
right? So it's just like, in a perfect scenario, we can do this under 30 days, but I'm not really going to know until the next couple of days when we get title commitment, because if there's, situations on title that we have to clear up, sometimes it can take a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
But on the flip side, we could potentially close a little bit faster. I don't necessarily know until, the next couple of days.
How do you differentiate between fix and flip, wholesale, wholetale, and what you want to do with the property? Are you just looking at the numbers?
Yeah, obviously we're looking at the numbers. We're looking at comps. It's really case by case. We're trying to put it into the best possible case scenario where we know we're going to make money, right? So there's some times where we can wholesale properties and get way more than what we could wholesale for, just because it's off market, and I don't know the term off market. It's like a fear of loss term with buyers, but yeah, sometimes we get more for it off market than wholesale.
Well, a lot of hard money lenders will give you better terms if you're a fix and flipper if you find a property that's not listed.
I haven't heard of those.
Oh yeah,
I didn't know that.
That's a big thing. Yeah, I know that two of the companies that I use, maybe 3 or 4 that I use for sure will give you 5, sometimes 7% better terms if the property's not listed, which I don't understand why that matters.
I don't understand either.
That doesn't make sense to me. The 2 of them are from California. Maybe that explains it. They're different about math out there than we are over here, but it is what it is. Yeah. If somebody watching this podcast wants to connect with you, we talked before we went on air about like seminars or tutorials that you do.
Well, we do a free RIA once a quarter. We have one coming up March 23rd.
What's a RIA?
It's like a real estate investor association.
Yeah.
So it's like a big, entrepreneur meetup, to be honest. We have some speakers come in. It's free to join, or free to come connect. So we do that once a quarter. We also do workshops that we do for the weekend. So it's 2 days, 2 full days of us really breaking down the exact details of our business model. And it's a little bit higher end. It's not cheap. So we do that 9 times a year. We do some mentorship, but we're very, very picky about, who we accept money from, just because we want to make sure that they get the value in return, because we're spending a lot of time with those clients, which is also not cheap. We buy houses for real from wholesalers, agents, or anybody, homeowners. So just keep us in mind if anybody has any properties that they're looking to sell or have under contract or even need a buyer for. We have a lot of buyers. So yeah, you can connect with me on Instagram, the Donovan Ruffin. I'm sure you guys will, put it in the threads. Facebook, Donovan Ruffin, and, let me know how I could help.
And if somebody wants to come work for you, the key to that is bringing a deal to the table, like your Houston guy. So
yeah, we're not necessarily really hiring right now. So
okay,
yeah.
But I mean, you could get your foot in the door if you brought something can't miss that really banked in there.
I mean, yes and no. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and
You're always
promise
looking
on
for
camera.
talent. Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and promise hey, sell me a house and you have a job. That's not how it works. So.
All you will promise if you sell Donovan a house is that he will friend you on Facebook.
Yeah,
So,
that's right.
Thank you for your time, man.
Absolutely,
I appreciate you.
Thanks,
Good
Jess.
times.
Good
You bet.
conversation.
Absolutely. Well, that was awesome. I hope you enjoyed that. We didn't get to his stunning reality TV career, but we'll leave that for next time. Hope you enjoyed that. Hey, I'd really love to know what you think about these podcasts. Drop a comment below. You can also hit me anytime on Instagram at Jess from the Northwest. If you want to work together, email me live at autographconstruction.com, and we'll see you all next time.